The most precious need few understand. When we talk about dementia, our minds often rush to the medical aspects, the prescriptions, the doctor visits, the daily care plans. It's understandable. After all, dementia affects memory, behavior, and the ability to perform simple tasks. So naturally, the focus tends to be on what's slipping away. But there's something even more vital that often goes unnoticed. Something that doesn't show up on a chart, doesn't require a prescription, and yet holds the power to transform how someone lives with dementia. That something is dignity. Dignity isn't about perfection. It isn't about being able to remember every name, every face, or every detail of the past. Dignity is about being seen, being heard, and most importantly, being valued. Even when someone forgets where they are or struggles to express themselves, they don't forget what it means to be respected. They may not recall your name, but they can feel if you're speaking with kindness or with frustration. They may not grasp the entire conversation, but they will always recognize the tone of your voice, whether it is patient and warm or cold and distant. I've sat beside patients who hadn't spoken in days, but when someone entered the room and greeted them softly, perhaps held their hand or smiled gently, you could see something change. Their eyes softened, their breathing slowed, a flicker of comfort would settle in like a lighthouse in foggy waters. That's the power of dignity. It's invisible, yes, but it is felt deeply. Sadly, in the rush of daily care, dignity can be the first thing forgotten. Not out of cruelty, often out of exhaustion. When caregivers are overwhelmed, it's easy to fall into routines, bathing, dressing, feeding, cleaning. These tasks are necessary, but if we forget why we do them and who we're doing them for, something vital gets lost. People with dementia are not empty shells. They are whole human beings living in a world that has become unpredictable and at times frightening. And in that world, the greatest gift we can offer is to see them not just as a diagnosis, but as a person who once laughed at their own jokes, who danced in their kitchen, who had favorite songs and embarrassing stories and dreams. When we speak gently, when we offer choices rather than commands, when we let them brush their own hair, even if it's not quite perfect, we're saying, you still matter, you still belong, you are still you, and it goes both ways. Because when we care with dignity, something shifts inside us too. We start seeing the beauty in small moments, the way they hum along to a song, the way they light up when they recognize an old photograph, the warmth of their hand in ours. These moments are fragile, but they are real, and they are healing. So the next time you're supporting someone with dementia, take a deep breath, slow down, look them in the eye, use their name even if they can't use yours. Give them time to respond. Listen not just with your ears, but with your heart, because beneath the confusion, the forgetfulness, and the silence there is still a person deserving of dignity every single day. And sometimes just knowing that is everything. The dignity key, why it changes everything. There's a quiet, almost sacred power in the way we treat someone who can no longer articulate their thoughts clearly or remember what day it is. That power is found in the small choices we make, how we speak, how we listen, how we respond when things don't go as planned. These moments might seem minor, but for someone living with dementia, they mean everything. Imagine waking up and not recognizing the room you're in. The walls are familiar, but something feels off. You reach for a word, but it slips through your fingers. The faces around you are kind, but you can't place their names. There's a hum of confusion in your mind that never quite settles. That's the daily reality for many living with dementia. Now imagine that in the middle of that confusion, someone kneels beside you, not towering over you. They call you by name, even if you don't respond. They smile, wait patiently, and offer you choices instead of demands. Would you like the blue sweater today or the green one? Would you like to sit by the window or near the kitchen? It's subtle, but it tells your heart you still have a say. You still matter. That is dignity in action. It's not always easy. Dignity takes intention. It takes presence. And yes, it takes time, a resource many caregivers feel they're constantly running out of. But when we choose dignity, we create moments of calm in what can be a storm of confusion. We give the person in front of us, not just the patient, a sense of peace. I once watched a caregiver prepare breakfast for her husband who was deep in the middle stages of dementia. Every morning she asked, "Would you like eggs or oatmeal today?" Most days he didn't answer. Sometimes he mumbled, sometimes he pointed, but she asked anyway, every single day. It wasn't about the food, it was about honoring his ability to choose, even in small ways. It was her way of saying, "You're still in there. I see you." And he did respond, not always in words, but in his posture, in his mood. On the days she rushed, skipped the question, or was distracted, he would frown or retreat. But when she slowed down, his shoulders would relax. He might even chuckle softly. Those tiny shifts told a powerful story. Dignity makes people feel safe, respected, and less alone. Dementia may steal memories, but it does not erase identity. It reshapes communication, but it does not eliminate the need to be understood. People with dementia still need eye contact, still crave affection, still want to feel useful, wanted, and loved. When we center dignity in our care, we stop viewing people as problems to be solved. We start seeing them as partners in the journey, even when that journey is winding, unpredictable, and emotionally taxing. Dignity changes everything because it's the one thing that reminds someone who's lost so much that they are still here, still human, still worthy. So, whether you're a family caregiver, a nurse, a neighbor, or simply a friend, carry this with you. Your tone, your words, your patience. They are tools more powerful than any medication. They can anchor someone in the present. They can offer peace without saying a single word. And in this fragile dance between remembering and forgetting dignity is the music that never fades. How one song can shift a person's entire day. It was just a simple tune, nothing fancy, just a few familiar notes hummed softly in the corner of a quiet room. But everything changed. The woman in the chair, who moments before had been staring blankly at the ceiling, blinked. Her lips moved ever so slightly, and then, with trembling voice, she whispered a few words from a song she hadn't sung in decades. That moment was pure magic, but it wasn't coincidence. It was the power of music, one of the most remarkable tools we have in dementia care. Music, as it turns out, is often one of the last things the brain forgets. Long after names and faces slip away, the rhythm of a childhood lullaby or a first dance melody can remain deeply rooted. That's because music lives in parts of the brain that are often less affected by dementia. And when it plays, it can reach through the fog, calling out memories, emotions, and even identity. I've seen it happen more times than I can count. There was Henry, an elderly gentleman who rarely spoke, often curled in on himself, lost in his own world. But the moment someone placed headphones over his ears and played a song from his youth, he came alive. His eyes lit up. He smiled. He started swaying, snapping his fingers, mouthing the words. For those few minutes, he wasn't a man lost to dementia. He was simply Henry again. That transformation doesn't come from logic or explanation. It comes from connection, from hearing something familiar that tells the brain, you're safe here, you know this, you remember. And that familiarity has real lasting impact. Studies show that listening to music can reduce agitation, lower anxiety, improve mood, and even help with sleep patterns in people with dementia. But beyond the science, it's the human experience that speaks loudest. Because when someone reconnects with a part of themselves they thought was gone, even for just a moment, there's a ripple effect. They feel calmer, more grounded, more present, and those around them, caregivers, family, friends, are reminded that their loved one is still in there, still reachable, still responsive. In a world where so much can feel out of control, music offers a gentle hand to hold. And here's the beautiful part. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a full band or a perfect voice. You just need a little curiosity and maybe a playlist of songs from their younger days. Try gospel hymns, big band jazz, classic country, or simply hum something familiar. Even tapping your fingers to a rhythm can spark recognition. Music can also become part of daily routine. A song to begin the day, to calm during meals, to wind down before bed. These small moments become anchors, rituals that provide structure and comfort in the chaos. And yes, it works for caregivers too, because when you see your loved one light up to a tune you once danced to together, when you hear their voice join yours in harmony, however imperfect, you're reminded of the bond that dementia can never take away. So play the song, even if you're off key, even if they don't respond right away. Because sometimes one song is all it takes to shift the energy in a room, to lift the weight of forgetfulness, if only briefly, and bring someone back to life. And in the world of dementia care, those moments aren't just meaningful, they're sacred. For the caregiver, you are not a machine. Let me take a moment to speak directly to you, the caregiver. I see you, you who rises early, maybe after a restless night, to prepare medications and meals before the day even begins. You who answers the same question a dozen times an hour, never showing frustration on your face. You who watches over someone you love dearly, yet sometimes feels more like a nurse than a partner, a stranger than a daughter, or a shadow of the self you once were. This journey you're on is one of the hardest and most invisible journeys anyone can walk. And here's something you may not hear often enough. You are not a machine. You are human. You are allowed to feel tired, overwhelmed, frustrated, and even angry at times. You are allowed to grieve, not just for the person your loved one used to be, but for the life you once knew. And you are absolutely allowed to take time for yourself without guilt. Somewhere along the way, many caregivers begin to believe that caring for someone else means sacrificing their own well-being, that asking for help is weakness, that resting is indulgent. But the truth is this: you cannot pour from an empty cup. Caring for someone with dementia requires patience, resilience, and an endless supply of emotional energy. But you are not expected to do it alone, nor should you, because the best care comes not from martyrdom, but from balance. If your body is weary and your heart is drained, you'll have nothing left to give. But when you allow yourself moments of breath, a quiet walk, a hot cup of tea, a conversation with someone who understands you, refill that well inside of you, and you come back stronger, softer, more present. Let go of the guilt that says, I should be doing more. You are already doing more than most people will ever realize. Let go of the voice that whispers, if I take a break, I'm failing them. No, by taking a break, you are honoring them with your best self. And please let go of the pressure to be perfect. There is no such thing in caregiving. There are only real people doing their best in imperfect, beautiful ways. Sometimes that means frozen dinners and unfinished laundry. Sometimes it means tears behind closed doors. And sometimes it means laughing in the middle of chaos, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. All of that is okay. All of that is human. What you are doing is not just care, it is love in motion. Every act, no matter how small, is a quiet testament to the depth of your compassion. And if no one has said it to you today, let me say it now. Thank you. Thank you for the countless hours. Thank you for your gentleness. Thank you for showing up again and again, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You are not alone in this. There is a community out there of people walking the same road, facing the same doubts, and holding each other up. Reach out, talk, rest, cry, laugh. You are not a machine. You are a person, a brave, loving, extraordinary person. And what you are doing matters more than words can say. 3 basic things that build peace. When life becomes confusing, when memories slip and time feels tangled, what remains most powerful are not complicated therapies or expensive treatments, but simple everyday comforts. For a person living with dementia, the world can often feel like it's shifting beneath their feet. What once made sense no longer does. Faces blur, routines disappear. Even language that once familiar bridge to others can become distant. But peace is still possible, and more often than not, it begins with the basics. There are 3 simple, profound things you can offer that create a deep sense of calm and security for someone living with dementia. Routine, the rhythm of familiarity. We all crave predictability. Even as children, we found comfort in knowing what came next. Bedtime stories, dinner at 6 Sunday morning pancakes. For those with dementia, routine isn't just comforting, it's essential. A consistent routine helps anchor the day. It offers structure in a world that feels increasingly unstructured. Simple acts like waking up at the same time, eating meals in the same chair, or listening to the same song every morning become powerful signals. You are safe. You are home. You don't need a rigid schedule. Think in terms of gentle rhythms. Morning, a warm washcloth, a soft-spoken greeting, a favorite breakfast. Midday, a brief walk or time in the sun. Afternoon, quiet music, or folding towels together. Evening, dim lights, calming scents, familiar television shows. These small routines reduce anxiety, minimize outbursts, and give both caregiver and patient a sense of ease. 2. Companionship, presence over perfection. Sometimes we pressure ourselves to do more, to entertain, to fix, to stimulate conversation. But for someone with dementia, the most valuable thing you can offer is simply your presence. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to fill every silence. Just sit, hold their hand, make eye contact. Be with them even in the quiet. Read a few pages from an old book. Look at photos together. Let them nap beside you while you knit or sip tea. Your stillness can be more comforting than 1,000 words. In a world that constantly moves too fast, your choice to be still with someone is a powerful act of love. 3. Comfort, tending to the body, easing the mind. We often underestimate the role of physical comfort in emotional peace. But imagine feeling cold and not remembering how to ask for a blanket, or being thirsty but not having the words to say it. That's the reality for many people with dementia. So think like a caregiver and also like a detective. Is the room too bright? Is the chair too hard? Are they hungry, thirsty, or needing the restroom but unable to say so? Soft blankets, cushioned chairs, warm socks, calming scents like lavender, and favorite textures, all of these bring reassurance. And don't forget the power of gentle touch, a hand on the shoulder, a light back rub, a warm hug. It reminds them you are not alone. These 3 things, routine companionship and comfort, may seem small, but in a world turned upside down by memory loss, they become pillars of peace. They don't require expensive equipment or advanced training, just love, attention, and the willingness to slow down. You don't have to solve everything. You just have to be there gently, consistently, and with heart. And that, more than anything, is what creates a sense of home in a mind that's begun to forget what home is. Designing the ideal day. If you've ever cared for someone living with dementia, you know that the day can sometimes feel like a puzzle with missing pieces. Moments of clarity fade quickly. Tasks that once took minutes can stretch into hours. There's unpredictability, exhaustion, and often silence. But there's something beautiful that happens when we begin to shape the day with intention, not perfection. When we create a flow that respects their needs and our own. That's what we mean when we talk about designing the ideal day. It's not about rigid schedules or micromanaging every moment. It's about finding a rhythm, a soft, natural cadence that brings safety, familiarity, and peace. Let's walk through what that kind of day might look like. Morning gentle beginnings start slow. Let the morning unfold with softness. A quiet room, natural light from the window, a warm washcloth on the face. These are simple, grounding gestures that ease the transition from sleep to wakefulness. Avoid rushing. Speak slowly, clearly, and kindly. Begin with small choices. Would you like coffee or tea? Even if they can't answer, offering the question gives a sense of agency. Breakfast should be easy to eat, nutritious, and consistent. A favorite mug, a familiar bowl, the sound of birds outside, or soft classical music can add subtle joy. Dress together slowly, patiently. Let them help, even if it takes time. Being part of the process creates dignity and participation. Late morning light activity and movement. This is often when energy is highest. Use this window for gentle activities that engage the body and the senses. Go for a short walk, even if it's just around the garden or inside the house. Fresh air can refresh the mind, while movement keeps joints and circulation active. Other gentle tasks work beautifully here. Folding laundry, watering plants, looking through old photographs, doing a simple puzzle, listening to a favorite song together. These aren't chores, they're opportunities for connection. Midday nourishment and rest. Lunchtime should be calm and unrushed. Use plates and cups that feel familiar. Serve simple, easy-to-eat foods, preferably ones with nostalgic or cultural value. The smell of warm soup, the color of fresh fruit, these are comforting, even if memory doesn't attach words to them. After lunch, encourage rest. Whether it's a nap or simply lying down with soft music playing, the body and mind both need this downtime. Remember, quiet doesn't mean inactivity. Holding hands, resting in silence, or even soft rocking in a chair, these are deeply nurturing. Afternoon, gentle engagement. Afternoons can sometimes bring agitation, especially as the sun begins to dip. This is known as sundowning. Keep the environment soothing. Dim lights, soft colors, avoid sudden sounds. Offer activities that engage the senses without overstimulation. Listening to nature sounds or jazz, sorting familiar objects, buttons, cards, reading short poems aloud. Aromatherapy with lavender or eucalyptus. The key here is presence, not productivity. Evening. Slow down, soften, settle. As night approaches, keep everything slow and familiar. Avoid television news or fast-paced programs that may confuse or overwhelm. Choose gentle shows or calming playlists. Dinner can mirror lunch, warm, soft foods served in a quiet space. Use the same routine each night, maybe lighting a candle, offering a warm towel for the hands, saying a short prayer or blessing. These rituals prepare the mind and body for rest. Afterward, keep conversations minimal. Soft lighting, a favorite blanket, perhaps a bedtime story, or a few lines of an old hymn. And above all, reassurance. You're safe. I'm right here. You can rest now. Designing an ideal day isn't about making every moment perfect. It's about crafting a space where safety, familiarity, and love are gently woven into the hours. A space where confusion has less power, where the person you're caring for and you can breathe a little easier. And in that kind of day, even if memories fade, peace remains. Music, memories, and the invisible bond. There are few things in life as universally powerful as music. A melody can take us back to our childhood kitchen, the first school dance, a wedding day, or a quiet afternoon on the porch. A few notes can open a doorway to the past, a door that dementia sometimes tries to close. But here's the miracle. Music often slips past the locks. Even as names are forgotten and faces grow unfamiliar, music continues to echo in the heart. It reaches deep beyond confusion, beyond fear, to a place where memory and meaning still live. I remember sitting beside a woman named Eleanor. She hadn't spoken in days. Her hands trembled. Her eyes stared blankly ahead. But when her daughter gently pressed play on a small speaker, and the opening notes of Moon River filled the room. Something changed. Eleanor blinked, her lips parted, and as the chorus rose, so did her voice, soft, wobbly, but unmistakably hers. For a moment, time stood still. Tears streamed down her daughter's face, and mine too. That wasn't just a song. That was a reunion between mother and daughter, between present and past, between soul and self. This is the invisible bond music offers. It's not something we can always explain, but we can feel it. And in dementia, care feeling is everything. Why music matters. Music activates more regions of the brain than almost any other stimulus. It connects to emotion, memory, language, and movement. That's why even someone who can no longer speak can sometimes sing. Why someone who doesn't recognize their family can tap their foot to the rhythm of their favorite song. It's why a quiet room can suddenly bloom with life when a tune from the 1950s begins to play. Music isn't just nostalgic, it's neurological, and it's a tool every caregiver can use, even without training. You don't need a degree in therapy, you just need a willing heart and a playlist. How to use music to build connection. Start by exploring what era your loved one would have listened to in their youth or early adulthood. The ages between 15 and 30 often hold the richest musical memories. Look for genres they once loved: jazz, Motown, gospel, country, rock and roll. Then create simple moments. A good morning song to start the day, a soft lullaby at bedtime, a dance tune while folding laundry, hymns or spirituals on Sunday mornings. Use music to mark time, to offer comfort, or just to be present together. And don't be afraid to sing along, even if you can't carry a tune. The beauty isn't in the perfection, it's in the shared humanity of the moment, the healing power of shared song. There's something sacred about singing with someone, even when words are fading. In those moments, you are not just a caregiver and a patient. You are two people, two souls remembering together. So take their hand, press play, hum gently. Let the music be a bridge to the past, to joy, to love. Because even when memory falters, the heart remembers the song. And sometimes, that's all we need. The power of 1 minute. In the world of dementia care, we often measure time differently. Progress is not always obvious. Words may not return. Familiar routines may fall away. But there are moments, quiet, fleeting moments. And in those moments, everything shifts. It might be the gentle squeeze of a hand, the soft smile that appears when a familiar song plays, the glance that meets your eyes for just a second longer than usual. These moments may last only a minute, sometimes less, but their impact is timeless. Because in that 1 minute, you are reminded that the person you love is still there, still feeling, still connecting, still human. And in that same minute, they feel seen, safe, loved. We live in a world that often values speed, productivity, and results. But dementia teaches us something radically different. It asks us to slow down, to be present, to find meaning not in grand achievements, but in presence itself. You do not need to fix everything. You do not need to carry the entire weight alone. You simply need to show up, to notice the moment when they hum along to a tune, to pause and sit quietly by their side, to offer your presence without needing anything in return. That is the power of 1 minute. A minute of calm in the chaos. A minute of joy in the confusion. A minute of connection in the silence. And it is in these minutes that love lives, not in the words spoken perfectly or the tasks completed flawlessly, but in the willingness to be there, to see the person, not just the disease, to hold on even when memories let go. So if you find yourself wondering whether what you're doing is enough, remember this. You are giving something extraordinary. You are giving time, patience, presence, and more than anything, you are giving dignity to someone who still deserves it deeply. That is enough, more than enough. As you go forward, may you carry these moments gently. May you continue to offer your heart even when it feels tired. And may you know beyond doubt that your love matters, even if just for a minute. Especially then, if this video offered you a new perspective or brought someone you love to mind, I invite you to leave a comment below. Share their name, share their story. Let this space become a place of connection and remembrance. And if you found comfort or value here, consider subscribing to this channel, liking the video, and sharing it with someone who may be walking a similar path. You never know how much a few gentle words can mean to someone who feels alone. Until we meet again, stay kind, stay patient, and never stop singing.